I thought it'd be bigger. Imagine being so in touch with the zeitgeist that you think E.T. isn't going to make any money. That's exactly what happened in the early 80s when Steven Spielberg was developing a sequel to Close Encounters. It ended up kind of becoming its own thing. At the time, it was called Night Skies, and he wanted to do it with Columbia, and Columbia thought there was no long-term potential in it to make money because they thought it was just a kid's movie. And they had another script for a movie called Starman. So E.T., Night Skies becomes E.T., gets made at Universal, becomes the highest-grossing movie of all time. And they finally make Starman a few years later with John Carpenter. And the movie ends here at Meteor Crater. John Carpenter was such a stickler for production value. He wanted to take a time machine and go back 50,000 years, have a meteor fly 11 miles per second, and create a meteor. But then they decided, hey, there's already one that's done that in Arizona, so they filmed it here all across America because he wanted to get away from being typecast as a horror and exploitation director. He, as he put it, he wanted to show the beauty of America, both in kind of the goodness of people, but also the beauty of the land. And so ultimately, the film's last act, it climaxes here, also just up the road, on the way to Winslow at the Meteor City trading post. It had been there a long time. It had been gas stations, all sorts of stuff dating back to the 1930s. But in the 70s is really when it got the vibe that you see in Starman. And that's the vibe it was when I visited there as a little boy. But unfortunately, it's just more or less ruins at this point. Just another tragedy of Route 66. But from what I understand, the new owners, or recent owners, I should say, do plan at some point to bring it back to that retro glory, and I hope they do.
Dean Reisner actually did some uncredited rewrites on this film, and in particular this scene. There's that moment where Bridges is telling Charles Martin Smith that the reason his race is interested in humans is because they're at their best when things are at their worst. It's a great little bit that really elevates the film. They also used some real Arizona sheriffs for that scene at the trading post. The film also had them filming over there on the I-40. They had 2 cameras cross-cutting in the sunset in a scene with Jeff Bridges and Marion Ravenwood herself, Karen Allen. There was also a bit of a lucky accident in the background when they were filming a similar scene for Charles Martin Smith, where they saw a train was coming, so they backed up and started again.
You can still come here, get a slice of pie. It didn't make a lot of money, but it did get Jeff Bridges an Academy Award nomination, so it did have other values to it. And yeah, so Meteor Crater, it's been here a long time. It used to be called Canyon Diablo Crater. That's back when my dad was a kid. They used to be able to walk down in the crater, and that hasn't been able to happen for a long time.
Daddy, what?
Yeah, put it back down.
We're in the crater! Whoa.
Wait a minute.
Watch out for impacts!
Hollywood magic, it's just a set.
They even had Apollo astronauts train here down there in the 60s to get used to what they would face on a lunar surface. So
They really did do some explosive effects down there in the crater, and that is not happening now. It's funny, you can see how much the visitor center and just the whole place has evolved in the decades since then. Carpenter, he is a pilot, and he actually flew some of the chopper shots in that climax scene and even had a cameo as a helicopter pilot.
Meteor Crater. Yeah, who knows, maybe this is where Stanley Kubrick filmed the moon landings for real.
Can you see it?
There it is. Jimmy Hoffa's grave.
The Irishman got it wrong.
HawkSchlock!